This is KTVO's Good Morning Heartland.
And welcome back. Fire departments across the heartland want to remind you that home fires are more prevalent in winter than in any other season. People are at greater risk in the winter season when they may use unsafe heat sources or if they don't follow fire safety rules in the kitchen or while using candles. To learn more about how to put a freeze on winter fires, we have Captain Joe Schilling with the Kirksville Fire Department here this morning to give us some safety tips. So how are you doing?
Good. How are you?
Doing great. So within the last month, I believe we've had a handful, if not a dozen, of fires throughout the heartland, whether in northeast Missouri or southeast Iowa. And after the investigation and everything, it all has had to be done with either, a heating source, an electrical fire. So why is it so much more prevalent in the wintertime with fires than it is in any other season?
Well, you have to think people are struggling. Economy's struggling. People are looking for alternatives to higher gas bills, things like that. So they're trying to use anything and everything to heat their homes.
All right. So now let's talk about safety tips. When it comes to heating sources like a space heater or something like that, what should we keep in mind to make sure that something like this doesn't actually catch fire?
Those are temporary, and they shouldn't be used as a regular heat source for your home. But when you do have them, they have to be out in an open area. They have to be away from everything. Anything that generates heat can deplete things around it, can make it so that it can have a lower flash point that catches on fire. It dries things out because of the way it puts its heat out. And if you got anything next to it and it falls against it, it can cause a fire.
Now, how long should we have something like this running? Is it, obviously we don't want to, do we want it running all night,
And they're getting them a little bit safer. They're not the old coil type electric ones. They're putting them with oil-based ones that, you can heat up. But the problem is it's really not a real good source for long term. It's a short term, take the edge off of maybe a little cold day or stuff like that. But people are using them for, basically their heat source for homes, rooms, and stuff like that. The best thing I can just tell you with these is give them time to cool down. Don't have them on 24/7. Make sure that you got them out in a big open area. Don't have them next to anything, even close to a wall, because anything like that, over time, it will deteriorate that material that it's next to and will cause it to be at a lower flash point and be able to catch on fire a lot easier.
Interesting. All right, now let's move toward electrical fires. So a lot of people like to plug a lot of things into an electrical outlet, and sometimes that can spark and start a fire. So how can we protect ourselves that way?
Well, the main thing is keep things maintained. Like a toaster. I've went into apartments where people were using toasters, their ovens, their cooking stoves as a heat source. You have to realize anything like that, that's not what it was made for. Two, just like with toasters, you got to clean the trap out of the bottom of them. All that crumbs and stuff get down there. If you keep turning it on and on, at some point it's going to flash. It's going to actually catch on fire. So you got to keep things maintained, cleaned up, but then also know that what they're used for, and they shouldn't be used for things that they're not made to be.
Right.
Electrical cords, don't overload your house with electrical cords. Running too much stuff off of them gets these cords hot. Their shielding can be deteriorated on them, and then they can catch things on fire. Right. And at this time of year, it just seems like more and more people start trying to use alternative ways.
Right.
So that's why we're seeing these. Candles, anything that puts off carbon monoxide that burns, has a flame, puts off your carbon monoxide. There's another one of those invisible things that nobody knows is going on. Right. And if they start feeling sick, they just think it's flu when it could be carbon monoxide poisoning. You need to let your fire department know, have somebody come out and test it, because these are the time of years when we start seeing these things pop up.
So, and obviously we always want to have a plan. So it kind of stressed the importance of every family out there having a plan in case of a fire. What should they do? Should they,
Well, first thing is have a smoke detector that's working, because you're not going to smell the smoke. It will put you into a deeper sleep, and most people die from the carbon monoxide instead of the fire. Second of all, talk to whoever lives in the house, whether it's your kids, your grandparents, somebody staying with you. You need to know how to get out of that home. You got to have 2 ways out of every room. You need to know 2 ways out, because the first route could be blocked by the fire. You might want to know the second route, and then practice it. And and it's kind of a fun thing that I did with my kids, and I know other people that do it, is once in a while, set them off in the middle of the night
And see how they react, and then
and tell them, say, well, this ain't real, but try to get out of the home, because you're disoriented. I mean, I get up every night, you know, to an alarm, and I'm used to it. But if you're not, get up out of bed, roll into the floor, cover your eyes or keep your eyes closed, and try to find your way out, because that's what it's going to be like. And it's amazing. It's kind of fun to do it even during the daytime, but then at night to do it, it becomes more difficult than you think. You think you know your home by the back of your hand, but it can get pretty confusing when you're disoriented. Yeah,
so have a plan, always important. Make sure you have working smoke detectors and carbon monoxide detectors if you can as well. Don't overload your outlets, and of course, keep an eye on your space heaters, and then watch out those candles. Make sure they're not near open, you know, flammable stuff like curtains
definitely
or
with
anything
candles.
like that.
Keep them away from anything where direct flame and heat above them can catch something on fire, like curtains or anything else.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Captain Schilling, for coming on. What we'll do is we'll post everything on our website at heartlandconnection.com. We'll also link up the Kirksville Fire Department's information if you have any questions or concerns, and we'll be right back.